So, growing up with my parents was very frustrating, especially as a young teenager, because there's a lot of things that you want to do, and most of them involve staying out late. And I was not allowed to do that. I had to be home at 6 p.m. every single night for dinner, not 6:01, or else I was grounded, 6 o'clock on the dot. So, at first that wasn't much of a problem because I had really good friends that were involved in sports and clubs, and my parents considered them to be a good influence. So at first that wasn't too much of a problem for me until I met my friend Gwen. So I met my friend Gwen, I think it was sophomore year, or going into sophomore year, so it was freshman year summer. I met Gwen, and she was the first girl that I became friends with that was a partier. Yes, even at freshman year. So she would always go out late at night, and I wasn't allowed to, and it was very frustrating because all of my friends at that time were allowed to be out until around 1 a.m. in the morning, and it was just really frustrating that I had to be home hours before that. So she told me one night that she was going to have like a little kickback party / thing at her apartment, which was perfect for me because I live in the same apartment complex as her. So in my apartment complex, my apartment building is around right here. When you walk out, there's a pool in the middle of the apartment complex, and she lives right on the other side of the pool. So all I had to do was figure a way to get out of the house, go next to the pool, go around the pool, and up to her stairs, and then I would be safe. So I thought about this for about an hour, actually, about my plan, how I was going to do this, and I finally decided that I was ready. So that night, I really, looking back at it, I made myself very suspicious because I didn't argue with my parents that night, and it was a Saturday night. And all of the time I was arguing about my curfew and trying to push it. So I guess looking back at that, that was very suspicious because I went to bed super early acting all good, and I was like, "Good night, Mom, good night, Dad, I'm going to go to bed, I'll see you in the morning." And they were probably like, that's a little sketchy. So I waited for them to go to bed. They go to bed around 10 p.m., so I didn't have to wait that long. And I pretended to fall asleep. They came upstairs, checked on me, and went to bed. After that, I walked downstairs, and I attempted to go out the front door, but when I looked at the front door, there was a pile of shoes all around. And I know my house is messy, but it's not that messy, so it was kind of weird that there's just a huge pile of shoes by the door. And I looked at my only other option because my window was way too high to try to jump out of. And I looked at the sliding door. So I thought, if I can just get this open and not have it make too much noise, I have a pretty good chance of getting out. So I opened the sliding door very quietly. I was very proud of myself. It didn't make that much noise that night. And I hopped over the fence, started walking the path that I needed to go to my friend Gwen's house. I finally get there, knock on the door, open it. I smell weed. It's terrible. I smell alcohol, and it's terrible. And all my friends are there. I'm really excited because this is the first time I've gone out, and I'm like, yeah, this is a party, even though there's probably only about 7 or 8 people there. So I start hanging out with them. They're all excited. They're like, "Jora, how did you get here?" And I'm like, "Don't worry about it. I can finally go out." So we're all having fun, we're playing games, we get in a really intense game of truth and dare, and all of a sudden I hear a knock at the door. So I was very, very, very scared. I ran into the bathroom, and a couple minutes later Gwen comes back out, so I think, oh, maybe it was just a neighbor, we were too loud or something like that. She goes, "No, Jora, that was your dad, and he's going to call the police if you don't go home right now." And I'm like, okay, shit, I'm freaking screwed right now. So I walk downstairs, and I get all my stuff, walk downstairs, and I'm like, maybe I can get home before he gets home, say I got lost on a walk outside or something. So I'm walking down the stairs, and I hear Jora. Oh my God. My dad is standing right there, and I'm shaking. I'm literally shaking like this. I'm like, "Oh my God, Dad, Dad, Dad. Oh my God." So I just start crying at that point, and I don't know what else there is to do. So I'm walking home. He's dragging me by the arm. We finally get home, and I'm just like, So he goes upstairs, and he asks me the question I've been waiting for: "What were you thinking?" And I try to blame it on sleepwalking. So yeah, I told him I sleptwalked to my friend's house in the middle of the night, and this is how I ended up here. So the lesson of my story is don't disobey your parents, because I got grounded for the rest of the summer, and it was not fun, and that is a lesson I will learn forever.